And I think I might be the only one who remembers the 60s.
Yeah.
So I can make up any story I want and everybody believes me. There's no contradictions. We just gone separate ways. It's like getting married when you're 14 and 18. Suddenly you're 23 and 24 and you go, who's this woman I'm married to? And she's saying, who's this guy? You know what I mean? It's like we had started as mid-teenagers, gone to England, gone broke, gone bankrupt, had wonderful experiences. And basically what brought it on was I had a medical problem. And anybody out there who's had a gallstone or a kidney stone, I had gallstones, I had a gallbladder problem. And so every night on the road, an American Woman has hit #1. We've gone from $750 a night to $10,000 a night. That's a big jump.
Yeah, wow.
And suddenly from being in the hole, making $750 a night, and ahead a month away is like $10,000 a night with Creighton's Clearwater and stuff like that. I'm going to the hospital every night, throwing up blood, this pain in my chest, and I don't know what it is. It's like a knife turning right there. I would literally turn a chair upside down, take the leg of the chair, and just push it in there on my gallbladder. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Horrific amount of pain, and you're in a cold, hot and cold sweat, and you don't know what it is, and you think you're dying. And once is okay. When it happens every night for 2 or 3 weeks, it's time to go home and see your doctor.
Yep.
And I would have our road manager, Jim Martin, who lives here in Toronto. He works at Sony. Take me to emergency every single night, and they'd say, "Well, bring him in the morning, and we'll do some more tests." And he'd say, "Well, we're leaving in the morning. We're going to Cleveland. We're leaving in the morning. We're going to Pittsburgh. We're leaving the next morning." We were in a different place. I couldn't get any medical attention.
Yeah.
Finally, I said to the band, "Look, I got to go home. I think I'm dying. I don't know what's wrong with me." Nobody could diagnose me. Nobody. I wasn't anywhere long enough. We're just every single night, and so. There was this is an amazing thing, I don't even know if it's in any book. We played Westchester, Pennsylvania, which is just outside of Pittsburgh. It's a room very similar to this, and the stage is only that high. After this particular gig, we actually have a week off, like 6 days off, and then the next big weekend, 2 more gigs, and then a week off, and then the Fillmore East in New York. I mean, this is huge-antic for guys from Winnipeg. So I have that last attack, but I go and play that gig that night, and a band comes. You could tell a band, the drummer's watching the drummer, the guitar player's standing in front of me. You know, everybody's watching. I take binoculars and see where they played the solo and write down. The solo was on the 5th fret, and I'd count it and write it down. I'd go home and stay up all night trying to figure out the solo, because there was no videos or music in those days. And this guy's right in front of me, and his name is Bobby, and he said, my dad's in construction, I have a big basement, and this is our band, we practice in my basement, we've got a Hammond organ and a PA all set up, and do you want to come to a party later, and blah, 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 and we know every one of your songs, we play your songs, except I don't know She's Come Undone. Can you show me the chords? Because he didn't know the Lenny Bro jazz chords, so She's Come Undone. So I say, okay, so later that night at his house, I'm teaching him She's Come Undone. And after the party, I go back to my room, and true to form, I have a gallbladder attack at 2 or 3 in the morning, and Jim Martin takes me to the hospital, and they say, look, if this has happened to you 14 times, you got to go, where do you live? Winnipeg. Well, go back to your doctor. So we had that week off. So I went to the band. So look, I got to go home to Dr. Lerner in Winnipeg, the guy who birthed me into the world, and see what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me. I think I'm dying. It's just terrible. And they say, so what do we do next week? And I said, well, that band knows every one of our songs, and Bobby Sabelico, I taught Undone, he knows everything else. I'll just hire him to play with you. It's 2 gigs, and there's another 8 days off, and then I'll come back, and whatever I've got to do, if I got to throw up blood before, and I did, at the Fillmore in the bathroom, go on stage and play. Wow. So I teach this guy the songs. I pay him a couple of $100. By then, we're making $10,000. Bob Sabelico plays, I think, 4 gigs with the Guess Who. I come back, play the Fillmore East. That was my last gig with them. It was May of 1970. And we rocked the Fillmore. And we didn't want to do These Eyes because it was the ultimate bubblegum song. Yeah. So we started with the heavy stuff, doing Friends of Mine and all the acid rock, and I'm playing with the drumstick, and Burton's doing the flute, and we're being real hip and cool. And we keep getting called back for encore after encore after encore. And this is the Fillmore East, and it's full of hippies, and they're all blasted, and you know, everybody's stoned and everything. And we finally go out on stage, and Burton says, we have nothing left to play. And they yell out, play These Eyes. And it's like 2:30 in the morning, and we start to go, bum, bum. And everybody starts crying. They put their arms around each other partners, and it's like Kumbaya at the Fillmore. And they're all singing, These Eyes, crying. And we go, wow, this is really a hit. If the hippies love this, all the stoners there love this song. So that was my last gig with them, and I had to sort out a whole bunch of stuff. Went back to Winnipeg, saw my doctor, treated the gallbladder with diet and stuff like that, and then had 2 restless years of wanting to do something else. And I started another band that evolved again from with Chad Allen. Started with Chad Allen again, and then as we got near success, he pulled out. He's like kind of afraid of the because when you're successful, there's a commitment.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a job. You got to write every single night, and you got to every concert, whether you like it or not, and do me a review for the next morning. And you got to have it in by 1 o'clock, so it's in the paper the next day. And your boss tells you that. It's the same with us. You're going to have a hit. You got to go on the road and work and play it. Because if you don't go out and work and play it, we're not going to promote it because nobody will buy your record. Blah blah blah. So you get into the cycle. So Chad Allen would kind of shy away from all that. So the band I started with him, which was kind of country rock thing, evolved to getting Fred Turner in the band, and we changed our name to Bachman Turner, and they thought we were a folk band for a while.
Yeah.
Because of Brewer and Shipley and Seals and Crofts, and they thought we're playing coffee houses, and we're showing up playing this rock and roll music, and Fred's got a voice like a gravel truck. And we're blowing, cups off the table in coffee houses like this, and they said, you need a name to show you play heavy music, that you're not a folk duo like Seals and Crofts. And we saw a truckers magazine called Overdrive.
Yeah.
And I wrote it down on a napkin. You know how napkins are tall in the trucks, those chrome things? So I wrote down Bachman, and there's no room to write beside it. Couldn't write on the napkin long way, so I wrote Bachman, and under it, Turner, under it, Overdrive. And I called the head of the label the next morning and said, I've got a new name.
Yeah.
Bachman Turner Overdrive. And he goes, wow, phenomenal.